Everyone, and welcome to PHAMCAST and happy Preventative Health Awareness Month. I'm Margaret Wallace-Duffy, the founder of the Preventative Health Movement recognized by Health Canada. And I got to tell you, one of the things I'm very passionate about, not only as a background in kinesiology and massage therapist, but also have my professional designation in aging. I truly believe that we all deserve to live well at every age and stage of life. And today's guest is really here to talk about the importance of healthy aging and the role that she and an organization plays in that. So I'm so excited to introduce this special guest to all of you today. So we're beyond excited to have Kimberly Bertrand with us today, and we want to take a moment to express our sincere gratitude to her and the Amica Glen Abbey for their incredible support in sponsoring PHAM. Their generosity is empowering us to expand our reach, educating and inspiring even more lives when it comes to preventative health. Kimberly is a multifaceted individual whose passion for making a difference shines through in every area of her life. A proud mother of 2 daughters and a dedicated professional in the senior living industry, Kimberly excels with grace and determination, and I can say that firsthand because I know her personally. Her work managing retirement homes is a testament to her deep compassion for others, but her commitment to well-being doesn't stop there. Kimberly is also a dynamic entrepreneur running a holistic well-being studio, a health technology venture, and a coaching business. As a certified holistic life coach, yoga instructor, and Reiki practitioner, she guides individuals towards personal growth and balance. Her book, The Perfect Simple Journal, helps people reflect daily with intention, further solidifying her dedication to empowering others. Kimberly is driven by a strong desire to make a lasting impact, and her diverse skills and roles allow her to touch lives in meaningful ways. Whether through community involvement, coaching, or business ventures, she embodies positivity and a growth mindset, and we are honored to have her on the show today as she shares her journey, her insights, and continuing her mission of inspiring change in every aspect of her life. So let's dive in. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You know, I am so honored and excited that this journey in this preventative health movement has brought me to people like you. Mm-hmm. And I mean that from my heart. Mm-hmm. When, I always talk about the currency of impact. We have to have a currency to pay our bills, but then there's currency of impact. And there's certain people and organizations that step up. And you and Amica Glen Abbey have done just that when it comes to Preventative Health Month and our Healthy Aging Day. And I just wanted to personally and publicly thank you from the bottom of my heart, because we can't do this grassroots movement without the help of people like you.
Thank you, and I love that we've been able to help, and I love the way that we met as well, right? Yeah. And so when I think about that and the journey, like the power of talking and the power of knowing people and connecting people. I mean, I met you through an event that I went to with a group from Wallet to Wealth, and Dr. Christy Prouse was there.
Yes.
And she was doing a workshop on women's health, and then I started kind of following her and connecting with her, and that's how I came upon your profile.
Right.
And then you kept popping up in my Instagram, because we curate our Instagram.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I came to your REM scan.
Yes.
In Dr. Prouse's clinic.
Yes. And
then we started talking, and then went from there. And the next thing, you're doing a workshop for me.
Yes, at Amica Glen Abbey, which was amazing.
Yeah.
That was such a fun afternoon. Let's briefly talk about what we did there, because I think it's important for people to recognize we share a passion for educating and empowerment. I think that's the foundation, both in our lives and in our professions. And I came to Amica Glen Abbey. Tell about your experience and what we did there.
So initially, I mean, it was one of the, foundations of what we want to do is educate our seniors and provide them with information so that they can effectively make good choices for their health, for their longevity, and for a new word that you introduced me to a couple of weeks ago, health span.
Yes.
Right? And it's interesting because now that I've heard that, I can't unhear it.
Of course.
And I was even at an event last week with Regenilife.
Lovely.
And they were talking about health span, and it was the same thing. And so I know we're on the right path and we're doing all the right things. And I think that event was just the start of something more and something really beautiful. And being able to educate, like I said, the senior population so that they can make really good informed choices. There's more out there than just the one mainstream.
Yes.
And we have a broken system,
Yes.
right? We know that. And so why not be able to explore and expand our knowledge and our level of awareness? I think it comes down to level of awareness, and we all are in different places. And so why not share that? If we can help someone by expanding their level of awareness, why would we not do that?
Absolutely, and you're so right. And one of the things that was really powerful to me on the day that I had the privilege of doing that workshop at Amica was not only the importance of educating, but providing options, but doing it in a way that's very experiential and very hands-on and very tangible. I think sometimes it can be very overwhelming, not only for seniors, but also their families and support team, their loved ones. We want the best for them, but we don't often know where to turn and what are our options. And what's beautiful about what we're able to do together is provide those options, but in a way that's very, very tangible and experiential. And I think you work in the senior living space, and I think you'll agree with the statement I'm about to make boldly. There's a lot of ageism in healthcare. And we all deserve to live well at every age and stage of life. And what I love about the work that Amica is doing is really providing out-of-the-box thinking sometimes, evidence-informed, of course, vetted professionals, yes, but in a way that's relatable, non-threatening, and approachable, which I really felt that with your team when I went in there to do that workshop that day.
And I think that's key because, even when I look at my parents,
yes,
my mom is 74, my dad is 79, he'll be 80 this year. My mom's a little more on board than my father, I think, in some areas, because that's the generation they grew up in.
That's what they
were
taught.
Don't know about naturopaths and osteopaths, all these different modalities and different things that is available to them, because back in that time, it was very different, and so
indeed.
Again, the non-threatening awareness and sharing what's available, and then they get to make their own decision, right? And that's one of Amica's values too, is that we want our residents to be independent and make decisions their way. It's their choice.
Yes.
They get to decide.
Yeah, and always, what I love about that approach is that you're also doing it in an evidence-informed way. So you're providing all these options and not apart from the conventional care team. I think that's really important that we establish. We've had many conversations, and the one thing I always say is you'll never hear me use the word alternative medicine. We're better together, but the most important member of that healthcare team is the person, and empowering them with that knowledge. And you're so right. I look at my mom, who's 82 and living independently alone at home, and my father at 88, and having them open to and giving them opportunities to open their minds to something different. Without having to throw their conventional ideas away, because that has place for sure. But it's really been interesting to watch the light bulbs going off and seeing. At one of the events I did with Amica, a couple came up afterwards and said to me, "Thank you for that." And one happened to be a retired doctor.
Oh.
And said, "This was really cool.
I love
you were opening my eyes to things that I didn't even know." And I think that's what's I'm most proud of with this movement. Not only that we're stocking the toolbox of Canadians at every age and stage of life, but the network that's happening amongst, and the inter-referrals and the learning and growth that's happening between complementary and conventional healthcare professionals is astounding. And that's how we change the legacy of healthcare. That's how we change the way we approach seniors or anybody at any stage of life. And that's really cool to watch. And that happened after a talk I did at Amica Glen Abbey, which I was really proud of, because just changing that mindset a little bit makes a massive difference.
I love that. And I think as well, allowing them to be able to advocate for themselves.
Yes.
Right? That's a huge, it's just so big. I see it in, I have 2 teenage daughters, so I see it in them.
Yes.
And then I see the opposite end of the spectrum. And so, I really reinforce with them, you have to advocate for yourself. You have to advocate for your health. You have to, do these things. And it's no different for our seniors, right? To be able to have the knowledge and be very comfortable in being able to advocate for themselves. And this doesn't make sense, and this does make sense, and maybe there's a nice common ground here, and we can figure it out using all different different avenues.
Thanks for raising that, because you're so right. I think there's also this dynamic when we think of our seniors today. They don't want to rock the boat because they were raised at a time where you don't challenge your doctor, because that's being rude.
Yes.
And when in fact it's not about challenging, it's about being a participant in your health and well-being and making informed decisions with all the information in front of you, and as you just said, and then you decide what you're doing, and that's important at every age. And you're never too old, and it's never too late to make those changes, and to have an organization that embraces that, and not just embraces it, finds opportunities to make sure there's access to that kind of learning is really important. And that's what excites me. I mean, you must see that all the time. Oh, I don't want to, what will my doctor think?
Yeah, I do. And I've seen, both men and women, I was going to say more so women, but both men and women, where, to your point, they don't want to rock the boat. Oh, I don't know if I should do that, or I shouldn't say that, or what
will my doctor think?
Yeah, and it's definitely unfortunate and saddens me a little. And then it's really about having the conversation with them about they can advocate for themselves. One of the things we do at Amica is we do have regular care conferences with our residents and their families. And so every care plan that we have is individualized. There is no blanket. And so they get to be a part of that, right? And so we have our team who helps with that and works with their doctors and works with their families, and it's really a whole community approach, if you will, and they get to be a big part of that, and we make sure it's always resident centered.
Yeah, that's really important. And what also I've seen and witnessed is that that's a living and breathing thing. So it's not when a resident first comes in and then that's it, at set and release. It's evolving and constantly, as do our lives, our health, our mindset. So I think that's really important to mention as well, that this is something that's always changing.
It is. And so, we have our general process is when a resident comes in, they have an assessment with our director of wellness, and then we decide from there if a care plan is needed. Sometimes it's not. Right. And sometimes it is. And then we do one every 6 months. That's just customary. Outside of that, if there's a change, if there's a fall, if there's a trip to hospital, any one of those things that happen, a reassessment is done immediately. There's no, well, their assessment's not due till June, so we're going to wait till June. It's no, we do it now. And then if they, let's say they come back from hospital, they're feeling better. Even if it's 30 days later, we do another assessment because you no longer need this service, or maybe there's something that's missing. We could do an assessment, every 2 weeks. So it's always individualized, it's always resident-centered, and it's always when it's required.
That's so powerful, and I think that gives a sense of safety and security to family members knowing that as well, and to the individual. I know recently a loved one of mine, my in-laws moved into a retirement facility, and out of necessity and safety, and unfortunately my father-in-law passed away late last year, and now my mother-in-law's on her own. The feeling as a family member knowing that they're being cared for, but more importantly, it was profound to hear her say, I've got a village. She said, I feel independent, but I know that under that door, there's always somebody there to help. And in times of grief and loss, and there's a lot of dynamics, the mind-body connection. As a family member, that really brings a lot of comfort to me, knowing that is there 24/7, and I think that's really, really important. Let alone the community, which we're going to talk a little bit more about in an upcoming segment, because that's also important.
Yeah, so one of the things we do as a leadership team in each of our Amica locations is we have a leadership meeting where we talk about that type of thing, that type of situation that's currently happening. And so, you know, when we have a couple, especially, who's together and, you know, one of the spouses falls ill, there are things that we start to notice, and it is a collective effort. So it could be our dining staff that notice they are not coming for dinner, or they're missing out on lunch. It could be our life enrichment team who notices they're not coming to exercise class anymore. They don't want to go on an outing anymore. Something's changing. And so once a week, as a full leadership team, we talk about those situations that come up. We highlight those, and then we start to figure out ways collectively, okay, what do we need to do to ensure that this resident is engaged, that they're feeling a part of the community, just what you spoke about, while their loved one is still undergoing, you know, their potentially final stages of life. And how do we keep them engaged? How do we, you know, ensure that they feel supported? And what things do we need to do? What do our, not just the leadership team, but our team members, our direct service team members, what do they need to do, and what do they need to be aware of to ensure that we're doing all the things we can to be supportive? And then that way, when, you know, those final days do happen, they don't feel alone, and they know there's that community, and we continue with that support and help them through that process.
So powerful, not only for the family members, but I also have seen the incredible sense of empowerment with my mother-in-law, in that she's feeling she doesn't have to rely on family. She's got a community, and she can walk through this with some independence, with some dignity, but also with some comfort herself, especially in this particular case, because she needs a lot of care. And that's what this type of thing does, and that's powerful.
I think it's the independence piece, right? I mean, there's a certain sense of pride. And you see it with our seniors sometimes, and when care does start to come into play, and they don't always want it right away, you know, there's a pride thing there, and I think the independence piece is key.
It is. Well, we're going to take a break right now, but we're going to be back. We're going to dive more into this whole idea of healthy aging and health span, and also talk to Kimberly about what she does in her life. And that spills over, actually, into some of the residents because of her passion for that. Stay tuned. We'll be right back here at PHAMCAST.